All right, everybody. It's finally happened. Today is the day that we've all been waiting for quite a few weeks now. From the New York Times, explaining the charges against Donald Trump. The former president faces 34 felony counts in connection with a hush money payment to a porn star before the 2016 election. Donald J. Trump pleaded not guilty on Tuesday to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in the first degree, all of which are tied to the former president's role in a hush money payment to a porn star, Stormy Daniels. But prosecutors in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office accused Mr. Trump of orchestrating a broader scheme to influence the 2016 presidential election by purchasing damaging stories about him to keep them under wraps. The defendant, Donald J. Trump, falsified New York business records in order to conceal an illegal conspiracy to undermine the integrity of the 2016 presidential election, one of the prosecutors, Chris Conroy, said at Trump's arraignment, which was today. Here are answers to some key questions that have arisen from Tuesday's events. That is also today. What is Mr. Trump accused of? The charges trace back to a $130,000 hush money payment that Mr. Trump's fixer, Michael D. Cohen, made to the porn star Stormy Daniels in the final days of the 2016 campaign. Wild that, it is just public knowledge the president has a fixer for his scandalous deeds, and it's just yeah, what do you mean? The president being embroiled in scandals, that's a thing that, you lefties care about? You fucking cucks. You fucking SJW cucks. This is political prosecution. That is, I've actually heard a conservative say political prosecution instead of political persecution. That's a word-for-word quote. I saw that on fucking Twitter. I forget who it was. I think it might have been, some paid for blue check mark gimmick right-wing account, and it was very funny to see. It had an embarrassing amount of likes as well. While serving as the commander-in-chief, Mr. Trump reimbursed Mr. Cohen, and that's where the fraud kicked in, prosecutors say. In internal records, Mr. Trump's company classified the repayment to Mr. Cohen as legal expenses, citing a retainer agreement. Yet there were no such expenses, the prosecutors say, and the retainer agreement was fictional as well. So basically what happened was Trump used a fake legal payment, a fake legal charge from Cohen that didn't exist for things that didn't happen, to reimburse Cohen for paying Stormy Daniels on his behalf the hush money for his affair. Those records underpin the 34 counts of falsifying business records. 11 counts involve the checks, 11 center on monthly invoices Mr. Cohen submitted to the company, and 12 involve entries in the general ledger for Mr. Trump's trust. Why is that a felony? Falsifying business records can be charged as a misdemeanor offense. To elevate it to a felony, the district attorney, Alvin A. Bragg, must prove that Trump's intent to defraud was in service of a second crime. In this case, it is unclear whether Mr. Bragg has settled on the specifics of that second crime. During a news conference after the arraignment, Mr. Bragg mentioned a number of potential underlying crimes, most prominently a violation of state election law and bars any conspiracy to promote the election of a person to public office by unlawful means. That definitely sounds a lot like what Trump did. Do prosecutors need to convict Mr. Trump of a second crime? No, they must only show that there was intent to commit or conceal a second crime. So they don't even need to find him guilty of that second crime, just acknowledge that he had intent to commit it. Or even just intent to conceal it if he did do it. That he just tried to cover it up. Prosecutors do not have to charge Mr. Trump with any secondary crime or prove that he committed it, but prosecutors have not yet said definitively what crime or crimes they intend to rely on to escalate the charges to a felony level. Why did prosecutors cite other hush money payments? Mr. Bragg's office linked Mr. Trump to 3 hush money deals. While the indictment mentions only the deal with Mrs. Daniels, the prosecutors likely mentioned the other deals to begin the work of proving that Mr. Trump intended to conceal a second crime. In addition to the indictment, the prosecutors filed a so-called statement of facts that referred to or referenced the other payoffs. That document, which is common in complex white-collar cases, provides something of a roadmap for the prosecutors something of a roadmap for what the prosecutors could reveal at trial, and based on evidence presented to the grand jury, it details the two hush money deals involving the National Enquirer, which has long-standing ties to Mr. Trump. The first involvement, the tabloid paying $30,000 to former Trump Tower doorman who claimed to know what Mr. Trump had fathered a child out of wedlock. The publication later determined the claim was untrue. The National Enquirer also made a payment to Karen McDougal, Playboy's Playmate of the Year in 1998, who wanted to sell her story of an affair with Mr. Trump during the 2016 campaign. She reached the $150 agreement with a tabloid, which bought the rights to her story to suppress it, a practice known as catch and kill. Yeah, we talked about this during the original segment I did on this when we were going over the Legal video. Essentially, Trump had an entire team set up to basically buy the rights to stories that would make him look bad and then never publish them so that they would never reach the light of day. Which is what also happened to the Stormy Daniels story, I believe, but Stormy Daniels just kind of like came out with it anyway. Which, of course, Republicans have been very, very, like, quick to shit on Stormy Daniels for... Like, I have literally watched as Republicans rant on podcasts about how Stormy Daniels should have kept her bitch mouth shut like she was paid to. These people know Trump is guilty. They just think he's based for cheating on his wife. If you don't think these people are lying when they talk about their moral positions of, like, family units being stable, nuclear family, all that shit. No, these people are categorically in favor of things such as cheating on your wife. They think Trump is a boss for doing it. The deal suggests that the payment to Mrs. Daniels was not an isolated incident, but rather part of a broader strategy to influence the election. What is the maximum sentence if Mr. Trump is convicted? The charges against Mr. Trump are all Class E felonies, which are the lowest category of felony offense in New York. He won't be imprisoned, and carry a maximum prison sentence of 4 years per count, but he's not actually going to face any actual time, right? Though if he were convicted, a judge could sentence him to probation. That's what he would get, most likely. There's no way a non-sitting president would ever get put into a fucking cell. There's no way. Our country is not fair enough for that to ever happen. Like, presidents do not go to prison for committing crimes. That is just not a thing that happens in America. We don't have a fair system like that. Like, our system is not equal. Anyway, really interesting. I mean, if it were to happen, if the goddamn miracle were to occur that Trump faced jail time for this, it would be the happy ending. If there is a happy ending to any of this, it's Trump facing jail time for all of this. This would be the happy ending. God, we just have to hope. We just have to collectively hope really hard and just pray that our collective desire influences causality. He won't face jail time for this. He might for the other cases he's under investigation for. He definitely does have some stronger cases that he's like that are being developed right now that are after him, but like, I mean, as far as him running for president, like, is any of it going to affect him while he's in office? Like, if he wins the election, I don't know. This also isn't going to affect his chances of winning. When Trump says that he could go out on the street, he literally said he could go on the street and shoot someone and people would still vote for him. He meant that, and it is true. Something that you'll notice is that a lot of conservative commentators like to front a very bizarre, fake morality. Like Candace Owens, I think I'm going to use Candace Owens as an example here. Candace Owens loves to point to like Christian morality and Christian values as like the peak of like Western civilization's morality system or whatever, and like what we should model all of our laws after and everything, and like these are what you should base your life on. Like Candace Owens has gone on rants about this, and you would think her audience would be a bunch of like pro-Christianity, pro-Christian values people, but when I watch people on podcasts who like Candace Owens, they stand in stark contrast of those ideas. Not in the sense that, like, oh, Christian conservatives say they're pro-life, but then they, objectively fight for maximizing death. Not in that way. I mean in such a way as, like, I will watch a dude who likes Candace Owens on a podcast talk about how based he thinks Trump is for cheating on his wife and having so many just, like, wrecked marriages. And that, like, Trump is just, like, a player. The audience that watch this, like, conservative propaganda content are not, like, God-pilled, Christian moral type people. They're only in it for the cruelty. They're only in conservatism for the performative cruelty. Conservatism has offered them a target that is acceptable to be hateful and cruel towards, and that is why they have adopted the position in a lot of cases. A lot of people just need a group to hate, and all the better if it's a group of people that can't change the thing that you hate about them. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Like, the vast majority of Trump supporters will not have their minds changed here. Hell, there's that one, how many Trump supporters who are, like, hardcore Christians have you heard basically refer to Trump like he's like he's Christ? Like he's the second coming of Christ. Trump can't name a Bible verse. This is the guy these people tout as their fucking second coming of Christ. This guy.
You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking about how it's your favorite book. And you said, I think last night in Iowa, some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what one or two of your most favorite Bible verses are, and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. When I talk about the Bible, it's very personal. So I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into...
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that you like?
No, I don't want to do that.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal. I think it's just an incredible... The whole Bible is an incredible... I joke very much so. They always hold up the Art of the Deal. I say my second favorite book of all time. But I just think the Bible is just something very special.
He did his best there, guys. He was sweating. He was fucking sweating like, fuck. Can I think of a single one, Like he's trying to, like, scan his mind for, like, a tattoo he saw once that was a Bible verse, Like, did he see, like, maybe a tattoo he saw at the beach that he could quote? Not one. I really hope Trump's trial is heavily televised. Heavily televised. And I hope he's there in court. That's what we need. That is what humanity needs to continue to move forward. Without that, I think the very, like, drive for humanity to keep pushing into the future will be sapped from us. The trial won't be televised. God damn it! We need this. It's too good of a meme. It's too good. Why does the world have to be so unfair? God, could you imagine if it was, though? The, like, Trump in court actually giving testimony televised. That is the dream. That, like, to the same degree that the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial was televised. That is what we need. That is what society needs right now. And no one else can convince me otherwise.